All right, welcome to another Small Business Pivots. We always have special guests from around the world, but this one's almost just down the street, right in the city where our headquarters are of Boss Design Tunnel. Jimmy Owens here in Oklahoma City. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, tell us a little bit about your business before we get started.
Sure. Well, March of 2025 was 14 years in business. We do video production, training videos, and the last 3 years we've been starting to do podcasts for people.
Well, before we introduce the show, how do you think we're going to help people today?
I think we're going to answer a lot of good questions when it comes to video. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it open ended, but all the questions you should ask the videographer or company that you're working with. I'll let you take it from there.
Fantastic. Well, let's introduce the show and we'll be right back. Welcome to Small Business Pivots, a podcast produced for small business owners. I'm your host, Michael Morrison, founder and CEO of Boss, where we make business ownership simplified for success. Our business is helping yours grow. Boss offers business loans with business coaching support. Apply in minutes and get approved and funded in as little as 24 to 48 hours at businessownershipsimplified.com. All right, welcome back to Small Business Pivots. Jimmy, you've been in business for 14 years in video, which was well before the TikTok days, but today everybody says you got to have video. Can you explain why we need video today?
I think it's one of the most versatile pieces of content. I'm going to go back. Like, we've done a lot of print design over the years, and I think when people used to get like a brochure created, I feel like the video that we're creating today is kind of like a digital brochure, right? It was kind of really makes you focus on what you really want to put in that thing, because once it goes to print, there's no undoing it. That's what a video is nowadays. It's just a really good piece of content that can be used on all different platforms, and it makes you focus on like what your message is, what should we put in it. So I think it's great because it makes everyone focus and like actually like put some value to what they're putting out there versus just like a bunch of random content, right?
Being a videographer, I'm sure you all do video for your company. How do you use it in your company?
We do a lot of behind the scenes. We've also created some commercials for ourselves, testimonials.
Everybody says you got to have video, but what I see people doing with their video is they spend so much time on it, but it doesn't seem like they really have direction. Can you help us with some insights on when people come to you for video, how do they use it? Is it social media? Is it for TV? What do they use it for?
Everybody's in a different part in that journey that you're talking about. Everybody has a different reason. And I think usually when people come to us, they're past that point of, I want to create a bunch of content. Like maybe they've tried that themselves, or they tried to buy equipment, or they've hired a videographer and it didn't work out, or for all kinds of reasons. But usually they're coming to us when they want the quality, and they want to do it right the first time, or they want to do it right because they've already tried to do it.
Everybody's got, a camera on their phone.
Yeah.
And I would think that that's probably a competitor right now, but can you share the difference of using your phone versus a studio like yourself?
Yeah. Well, content's content, but the main difference is being able to control like exposures. So there's three things in a camera that we're always looking at, and that's shutter speed, ISO, and f-stop. And so all these things allow us to like get the shot that we want. Like if you're like, hey, I want a blurry background like what I have right now, well, then you want like a lower aperture. I know I'm speaking some jargon, but there's ways to get that look. And so if you look at a lot of people's cell phone videos, almost everything, even GoPro, almost everything is always in focus, the whole environment. So there's just different ways to control these cameras. And then, some of these people that are listening to this podcast today are like, well, you can buy an app and you can control those things through a third party app on your actual cell phone, right? So you can still get those same looks, but just the image quality, sensor size, how well will it shoot in low light? Because not everyone's hauling around lights and doing those kinds of things. So just depends on the look that you're wanting to get, and can you achieve it with what you have, and who's running the camera, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to, even if you're going to download those apps, you still have to do the research. And even today, I had one of my staff come in today, help me set up a podcast set that we've done many times, because it's hard to film yourself. It's not as fun to film yourself. You have no guidance. There's all kinds of things going there, but these cameras that they have on, the iPhones and Androids and stuff, do a really good job at photographs, at video. The difference is like knowing what it's doing and why it's doing it. Like if you don't know those things, then you're just guessing. You can't reproduce the same thing over and over. And so me and my team take a lot of pride in being able to reproduce the same thing over and over for a client, or being able to achieve a look or a vision that they have.
What percentage would you guesstimate? This is probably a subjective answer, but I see people spending so much time trying to create a viral video, trying to figure out the right lighting and get those apps and create that emotion that you're talking about, versus just come to you. You already know how to do it. What percentage of time do you think that saves a business owner?
I don't even know where to start with that question, because it's going to save them a lot of time. Because we help other people with their podcast spaces and stuff like that, and some testimonials that we've received is that they would have never, some of these podcast sets that we've helped set up and then train their staff, they would never be able to look that way. Like their staff doesn't really understand the ins and outs of those three things in that camera: the shutter speed, the f-stop, and the ISO. And so that's the very basic thing that you need to understand, instead of just hitting auto. So hit auto, that means that your colors and everything's going to look good, but depending on where you're at, it's always going to change. And if your lighting changes, then your auto settings will change inside your iPhone or your camera, and you're never going to achieve that consistent look.
How long have you done photo and video?
About 12 years in on photo and video. Yeah.
And so
in industry for over 20. So I started out as a graphic designer.
So is there creativity in the photo process as well, and video process?
Oh yeah. Layout.
So it's not just taking your phone and, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it, is what you're saying.
Certainly. Yeah. The amount of light that you want to put on a subject, if they're overexposed, if they're not exposed enough. I mean, there's so many different, once you get it, you get it. But, go back to your question, how much wasted time, would be wasted. I think that if you hired someone like us, or found someone here local to educate you and your staff on something, you would be years ahead of where you would be if you would have done it yourself.
Yeah. I always say, don't be your own accountant unless you know how to do accounting. Right. So videography is kind of the same thing. Yeah. We have these tools, these resources, but why spend or waste? I would say waste the time trying to figure it out, and the lighting and everything.
Yeah.
I want to go to your business side of Design Tunnel. So when you started Design Tunnel 14 years ago, if there was something you wish you would have done different in the early stages, what do you think that would have been?
I wish I would have got serious sooner.
Boom.
Yeah. Got serious sooner.
Yeah.
Got more serious sooner. Yeah.
Every year I feel like I'm getting more serious, and I'm like, why wasn't I this serious last year? And here I am getting in my later years.
Well, I think for me, I didn't plan on having staff and having a location and, any of the stuff behind me. I didn't plan on this. And so if I would have had a plan and got serious, and you don't know what you don't know. Right. But, sometimes I say that, we made it this far, our prayer, we're very lucky, but today we're being very intentional. I don't want to be so intentional that it's not fun, and so intentional that it's not fun to work here. So you have to juggle those things. Like we can get serious when on some of the things behind the scenes so we can really make a good plan, but it still needs to be fun.
You've really been evolving in the last 5+ years. What would you say is contributes to that?
I'm just going to get to it. One of the biggest things that changed in my life is I got clean and sober, and I'm not going to make it a podcast about that, but me realizing something that I always knew that was holding me back, and having to face that, and then working on that, and working a program and getting some help with that has changed the way that I function at home, function in my business, function in my life, and that's been the biggest change in my life that has projected us to where we're at today.
And when you started
I work on that daily. And it's just what we're at today is a byproduct of that. I wasn't trying to get to where we're at today. I think I was trying to, but I didn't realize how much of these other things were holding me back. We're all born with that human condition where we like to struggle, or some of us do. Some of us, my type of personality, I like to struggle. I like to work, and you don't have to struggle and work on the same things. You can actually like make progress. Imagine that.
Yeah. Focus.
Yeah.
So you've kind of got design tunnel 2.0, if you will, in the last 5
100%.
years. So going down that journey, since you did have more focus, what were some of the things that you feel has really helped you move the needle in your business coming from that fresh start?
I had to be willing to look at myself first. I know I already said that, but that was the number one thing. And then being able to ask people for help. So asking people for help whenever it's like something that I don't know a lot about. Over the years, I always knew I was the problem, but I was never ready to hire a business coach, right? Because I like to struggle. And I had, I was spending money on other things. I wasn't be able to stay focused. I couldn't, juggle all these things. And I knew I would never be able to achieve anything with a business coach until I got serious. And so once I got serious, I think it was a year in, on that journey of sobriety that I finally I was willing to pay someone to help me. And then that's when I called you.
Yeah.
So Michael Morrison is my business coach. but one of the things that you said on that phone call was, are you willing to change the things that you can? And I was like, yes, I am. Yes,
what do you think was, cause you'd already, and I hate using this term for you, speaking for you, but some people would say I hit rock bottom. So I knew I had to,
get help on my rock bottom. This is going to be an X-rated show here.
No, well, I had to get help on myself. Yeah. But then what would you say helped you get serious once you worked on yourself? I mean, what was that trigger? Because there's a lot of business owners that when we say, because I say it all the time, you got to get serious first. And they're like, well, I am serious. I started a business. Well, no, what does that really mean? What does it mean to you?
To me, like today we still don't have like health insurance for our employees, right? Today we're still renting our location. I think it's just like looking at like revenue. Revenue is really what I'm after. I'm looking for stability. Like we lived so many years, month to month, whatever you want to call it, without getting to the weeds too far. But those things, like I know I can't do this on my own, right? I know that I mesh well with people and staff, and we do a really good job as a team. And I don't think that all videographers or all like smaller videographers can do that. So we're bigger than just an independent videographer team, like an independent videographer, but we're not as big as an agency. Do I want to be as big as an agency? No, but I want the revenue stability of an agency, right? So I think in order for me to get serious, I have to say, I want to achieve these things, and then I have to keep these things going. And if I don't have these things going and we're not achieving them, then how are we going to get there? Well, I'm serious about achieving those things today.
You have a team. What would you say are some of the
Well, the
insights you can
craziest thing
give?
is we've always had a team. I've always had a team. I've had a team for like probably like 14 years in business. 12 of those years, I've had someone helping me because I knew that in order for me to go get more, in order for me to do things, I have to offload things and let them do what they're good at. Except, so today we do it totally different. Like we're about systems and processes and creating all these things.
The team you have, you've evolved as a company, you've evolved as a person and a leader. What would you say are some of the areas of business that you've become a better leader with? You're listening to Small Business Pivots. This podcast is produced by my company, Boss. Our business is helping yours grow. Boss offers business loans with business coaching support. Apply in minutes and get approved and funded in as little as 24 to 48 hours at businessownershipsimplified.com. If you're enjoying this podcast, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share it as well. Now let's get back to our special guest. The team you have, you've evolved as a company, you've evolved as a person and a leader. What would you say are some of the areas of business that you've become a better leader with your team? Because not everybody, once they hire employees, they know what to do with them, right? So you've evolved over time. What would you say are some things you've learned that have been beneficial to building your team?
One of the things that I used to really, I'm not like an in-your-face kind of person. I'm very like, I would say I'm a really soft sale, and even my hardest sale is still not hard. It's still soft. But one thing that I wanted people to be here if they want to be here, right? You can leave if you want to leave. If you don't want to be on the team and you don't like it, then you can leave. Like, I didn't want to have any Kool-Aid to drink. I think this is the best way I can put it. I didn't want to have any Kool-Aid to drink. I didn't want to force you to drink the Kool-Aid, of Design Tunnel, to be like, oh, Design Tunnel, Yeah. And today, I would say that we have some Kool-Aid and we want you to drink it.
Mm.
Yeah.
What's in that?
We want
Kool-Aid?
you to drink our Kool-Aid.
What's in the Kool-Aid?
It's transparency. I think transparency among our team. Like if something's bothering you, work or personal, we're trying to keep that personal stuff outside the door when you show up. But if it's something personal and you want to talk about it, hit one of us up. If it has something to do with a project that we can make things smoother around here, then let's talk about it. Being able to like not just be a yes person, but to be able to like problem solve and figure things out. Like if you can't do that, you're not going to make it here. I've told people when we're having interviews that my job is to make sure that my job is to make you want to not work here. Because whenever you work here on our team, it's probably going to be the hardest you've ever worked at a job. Like we're just not a place to collect a check and leave. Everybody plays a really vital role in the success. And if you just sit back and you do your job, that's going to be really helpful. But if you sit back and you do more than expected, we notice it. It's easy to notice that around here. And then, being able for all of us to build off of that is a contagious thing.
The show's name is Small Business Pivots, and you've mentioned marketing, graphic design, video, podcast. How did you transition into those pivots and know that it was a good thing to try or attempt or adapt, evolve, however you want to look at it? Because so many business owners stay stuck, and yet you just keep moving. How hard is that? What was the process you went through to say, okay, I'm going to do this?
Yeah. Well, that's the end of the show. I don't know the answer. It's an interesting process because I was, I got an advertising BA from OU, and I just love marketing products and services. And through like ad copy and layout, I realized that I could take these like one-liner ideas that I had, and I could turn it into a visual something that people could actually see, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's cool," So I started out graphic design, like employed as a graphic designer for 3 years. And then I think, just like any employee, all you want is more money, right? Or you have a side hustle if like you're kind of programmed that way. And so I was the side hustle guy, and then I was the guy that always wanted to race. So how do you get that raise? Well, you side hustle, right?
Yeah.
You learn what you can at work. You get paid to learn. One of my favorite terms to say is, let's get paid to learn if we don't know it. So graphic design, I just wanted to learn animation work. So I wanted to do that. I dabbled in web design because I thought it was cool. It was back whenever they said print design was going to die. And do you remember that? Print was going to die.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Owning a printing company, yes, we heard that every day.
Print's going to die. And I was like, well, I'm going to do some web stuff. And so, I was just trying these things, and then, like doing freelance projects on the side, working at different places, listening to these things. I come to find out that I could get paid more doing some of these things that people couldn't do. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of really what I've always based some of our things off of, like what we're trying and what we're doing. And so, like I never wanted to do, logo design for anybody, because no one would, I always say someone had a nephew's nephew that could do their logo, and didn't want to. So I was just talking to the wrong people. However, those were the people I was talking to at the time or had found out about me. So zero budget. I used to actually own a website called vectorgraphicdesign.com, where I used to get paid more to recreate people's logo in vector format than I would if I would have designed it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting topic. But so I didn't want to do like logos. Graphic design is actually why I quit my job and I went out on my own. I was like, I want to be a graphic designer out of my house. And look behind me now. That's what got me here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently I work hard. I think we just kind of like try to keep up with the times and test the market. So I think that the goal is to, let's not do something that everybody thinks that they can do. That's it. So if you think that you already got someone to design your logo, cool. Well, call us whenever it's designed, and we want to make sure it's in vector format, and then we'll take it from there. So let us help you do things that you can't do. And I found that very true when it came to the animation side of things. Animation people couldn't do. And so I got into the animation side because I used to love those, Kellogg cereal TV commercials and stuff. And that's what animation was to me. And so, the advertising kind of background and those kinds of things. So I learned animation, and, not people today, I mean, they can film themselves, like you said, but they can't do it well. It's hard to film yourself. It's, well, you might film yourself, but then do you want to, can you do the edit? Can you master the audio? Are you wanting music? Do you need branded, animation graphics to go along with your show or your commercial? So there's like all these little things that, depending on the project, that they can't do.
Yeah.
So finding out the things, they can't do.
I read something the other day, kind of put it in perspective of every company is marketing a product or service. So in other words, every company is a marketing company. You just don't know how to do it. So market your product, but go find somebody to do it better or professionally.
Yeah.
What does the process look like for using a videographer? Because it seems like there's a lot of them, and you mentioned we're not like the small ones. And so I consider the small ones like the one person, couple of cameras in their truck or back seat. And then you have your boutiques, and then you have companies like yours. Yours is very professional. So kind of what's the process look like?
And I think the one-off videographer, I think also is they have a full-time job probably.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there. They probably have a full-time job. They may not be as available all the time. Right. So I just want to put that out there. I love all you guys. I'm just saying there's a difference.
Well, there's a difference in business coaches too. Some have owned a business, but most haven't, so it's similar. We still love you.
Have you owned a business?
I've won and lost at a lot of them, more losses than wins, but that's why I'm coaching. I want to make sure you don't lose.
Yeah. We don't have to struggle anymore, Michael.
That's right.
It's all over. Yeah. We don't have to struggle. Our process is, it's like, what kind of video are you wanting to create? So it was like if it was a TV commercial, okay, who's writing the script? Do you need help with that? Or do you already, so we'll sit down, we'll have that meeting, we'll figure out if they have a script. Usually that involves, is it a 15-second and a 30-second? And then, what in any video, it doesn't matter what it is, I would say, what would we call success of this video, right? Is it monetary? Is it saving you time? Is it educating people? Is it, a lead gen piece? Like, what is the expectations of this video? As long as it's not a therapy, warm, fuzzy video, we're good. But as long as we have an expectation defined. So write the script, figure out who's involved. Are there any graphics or anything like that need to be created? And usually we're creating some type of branded video template for that video to go in that then is used on all videos that they use going forward. So it's like a one-time investment. And then, who are the decision makers? What's it take to get this approved? Where is it going? Is the messaging right? Or do we need to make a couple different versions to test out the messaging? Then it's schedule shoot days and, edits, master audio, sound effects, color grade, all the good stuff.
On the podcasting, for those not watching this on YouTube, you've got a nice studio behind you. So you do videography and podcasting. What does your studio, what can it do? Like if someone comes to you that they wouldn't be able to do if they didn't have access to a studio. So we're talking about the difference between a traveling videographer versus someone that has a studio and travels. What can they do differently?
Well, once upon a time, we used to not let anyone use our space at all, right? We were just using it ourselves. But when we started picking up the podcast side of things and, testing the waters on that, we have different options. So you can just rent our space, use our microphones, bring your own camera, or, it doesn't matter. You can rent the space yourself. We could film for you. And we have currently about 13 different set looks. So like different color backdrops, white microphones, black microphones, all kinds of stuff like that to kind of just support whatever kind of vibe that you're going for, all the way to custom backgrounds. So we have some custom backgrounds of a really cool way that we do those. Like you could do anything here yourself, your marketing team, or we can do it for you.
So you go the extra mile for those companies that are large enough to spend the money or the budget that they need to. You also help people set up their studio, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
What, on average, would you say to get quality equipment and get the training? What would you say the average time and dollar amount is to have their studio? And I know it varies on size and guest and all that, but just average.
I would say I would probably like to break it down into equipment purchase and then man hours or something, if that's okay. Yeah. So for you, 2 microphones, 2 camera, or 1 camera, depending on the cameras that you're going to buy, I think you could get started with the podcast somewhere around $1,500 to $10,000. It's a huge window there because the types of cameras that you could film with, and so $1,500 to $10,000 for a podcast setup, and then on the what we would charge to help you with that could range anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000, be anywhere in between in there. I think the most that we've charged so far to help set up and do things is about $5,000. So that's training, helping you get all the equipment, setting up the equipment, and then training your staff on how to use the equipment.
On the equipment, how often does that evolve? Because I know technology just keeps getting better and better and better. Is it the same in the video space?
100%. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, like this camera that we're using today, that I'm using today, it's like a $4,000. Actually, it's 4,200. After tax, and that's not including the $2,000 lens, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And but I mean, should look good, guys.
It
Right?
looks
Yeah.
fantastic. You're
Yeah.
looking dapper, my
Yeah.
friend.
I mean, how does it compare against other podcasts that you've had? Like, how many podcasts have you done? And does this look good, right?
Yeah.
Um,
AI is a big thing at the time of this
yes, sir.
recording. Is it
Yeah.
affecting your business at all?
Yes, yes, it is. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with AI. We talk about AI here as being like it can be really helpful. Sometimes you can't reproduce the same thing with it, right? So depending on what you're trying to do, that's my biggest thing with AI and like branding. Like branding and like having consistency is like we want the consistency. So I mean, there's things that we use AI on, at our office, but when it comes to like filming and doing those things, I think just like today, Joe came in to help with the lighting. Like this isn't anything I would want an AI to manage for me today.
Yeah.
Right? I would think that you would probably want to talk with a person. There's definitely some really cool stuff that you can do out there with cameras and AI. I don't know how to use all of those things. I think social media makes it all look really easy. And I've went down some of those rabbit holes too. I'm like, okay, we're going to try to do this, and then it's like that's not going to be consistent. Who is going to use it that we know? I don't think we should do this.
Yeah.
It looks cool. Like the people online did it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're after views and likes. We're after revenue. There's a difference.
Yeah, there is. It's called professionalism. And so having owned a printing company in the past, it used to crack me up because you may or may not remember this, and some of our listeners may not be old enough to remember this, but what was your perception of someone that handed you a business card that looked like it was printed off their home printer, had the little perforation on the sides? Remember those? Versus someone that gives you a nice square business card, solid print, front and back, colors on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. I go back and forth on business cards. Like I still like them for many reasons. Whenever I get them, when I network, I put them in my pocket and then they stay next to my sink.
Yeah.
At home, and I put them in my pocket until I do something with them. I like the digital side too. People are like, I guarantee you people on the show will be like, "Why don't you use digital?"
Yeah.
Well, that's another way. It can be forgotten a little easier sometimes. So I take the business cards so I can wash them in my pocket, basically, and be reminded that I need to reach out and schedule a meeting. So can't wash a digital one.
True, but you can forget about them.
You can forget about it. Yeah,
and we can go down that rabbit hole for a second, because I will share that every time I get one, it's like I never remember the app they were using, so I can never find that information. Or, I've got a Android and they've got an Apple, an iPhone. Well, their contact cards don't work on an Android, and so there's some problems there. Business card is a nice handoff.
Yeah, and there are still some really nasty business cards out there.
Right. Yeah, so it's the same thing as video. I'm assuming that you can go do this yourself, just like you used to be able to print business cards at home, but you can tell, and it really is all about that first impression. And so that's really what you raise the level of that impression. What's the best place to follow you, engage with you?
LinkedIn, Design Tunnels on LinkedIn. So my person, Jimmy Owens, and then Instagram. I'm really active on Instagram for the company.
And I'm sure you have a lot of samples of your work all over the place.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I always leave with one question. If you were in a room of business owners, different industries, different years of business, what's one thing applicable for all of them? It could be an insight, a book, a quote, or just something you've learned that you absolutely have to know this.
I was something that I recently have realized is that I need healthy pressure in order to hit goals. And so let's say that if I do push-ups in the morning, for some reason, after like my bike ride, I'll do some push-ups. For some reason, if I don't have on this weighted jacket, 10 push-ups feels like just enough. But for some reason, when I have on this weighted 20-pound jacket, I want to hit 15. So I think healthy pressure in the right form and the right part of your life is what you need in order to have that purpose, in order to like make you achieve those goals. So that's where I'm at today.
Fantastic. Well, you've been a blessing to many and a wealth of information. I appreciate you and wish you continued success.
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for listening to Small Business Pivots. This podcast is created and produced by my company, Boss. Our business is growing yours. Boss offers flexible business loans with business coaching support. Apply in minutes and get approved and funded in as little as 24 to 48 hours at businessownershipsimplified.com. If you're enjoying this podcast, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share it as well. If you need help growing your business, email me at michael@michaeldmorrison.com. We'll see you next time on Small Business Pivots.